Ladies and gentlemen, this is how insidious and disingenuous and duplicitous the media, Democratic Party, and establishment Republicans and Democrats are pertaining to our involvement in a region of the world where intelligence briefings, according to two officials familiar with the matter, according to former and current U.S. officials. In this case, it's according to officials familiar with the matter, so you can say goodbye to journalism in 2020. Actually, it's been this way ever since President Trump was elected. It's always according to people familiar with the matter, never any evidence, always an appeal to an authority that's been wrong since Pearl Harbor, even before these intelligence agencies, most of them were created. Pearl Harbor, Bay of Pigs, Gulf of Tonkin, these are all intelligence failures. A week ago, Bush's miserably failed foreign policy that President Trump is getting us out of. But according to people familiar with the matter, the intelligence chiefs or people within the intelligence community, whatever, these unknown, unnamed authority figures that just we should blatantly trust because of their track record has been so pristine and wonderful, getting us into endless quagmires, conflicts. Okay, you can look at every single president, and there's just a litany of intelligence failures for the past 50 years. Major ones that have led to the destruction and ruining of millions upon millions of lives, especially within the United States and abroad. But here, they're trying to say that President Trump ignored warnings in February or March that Russians were paying our enemies to go after U.S. soldiers. Okay, he already addressed that. Do you want to know what he did in February and March? And this is the insidious and just the nefarious nature of the Democratic Party and establishment Republicans, establishment Democrats, media, really people, a great many people on the left, almost everyone on the left who don't care about this. U.S. and an organization I can't actually say on YouTube, but let's just say United States and Afghanistan signed deal to end 18-year war. This is BBC News, February 29, 2020. The U.S. And people within that region have signed an agreement for bringing peace after 18 years of conflict. This is, President Trump said it had been a long and hard journey. It's time after all these years to bring our people back home. To bring our people back home. This is a BBC News article, February 29th, 2020. Okay, only President Trump, and this is why I love President Trump. This is why I'm voting for President Trump. This is why everyone on the left should vote for President Trump. Because they care more about a retweet of a person who was either saying it was almost certainly the person was sarcastic, or President Trump just didn't hear it. It wasn't a subliminal to the homing beacon of horrible people in swing states. Once Democrats lose, and they will lose, they're going to blame Trump's rhetoric. Well, what was Trump when they say, well, he knew what he was doing? Well, what was he doing when he signed the First Step Act? What was he doing when he signed an executive order combating rampant anti-Semitism on college campuses? What was he doing when he signed legislation to fund historically black colleges and universities? Over $225 million. Should be $1 billion to me. I think we should raise it to $1 billion. But here, only President Trump would say, it's time after all these years to bring our people back home. Okay, only President Trump, and he's stated this, we can't be the world's policeman anymore. This is the primary reason he's going to win in 2020, and it's really the main reason that he won in 2016. He went after Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush couldn't say that his brother, the imbecile baby Bush, George, got us the wonderful friend of Hollywood celebrities, who, by the way, he ran on a marriage amendment. Just wondering when they're going to cancel Madam Secretary, by the way, out of American culture or history, because she did. This is a fact. Clinton, and this is a fact, New York Times, Clinton called Mahatma Gandhi, if you can believe this, a gas station attendant. Okay, here, New York Times, Clinton, Gandhi gas station. Okay, so Clinton apologizes for Gandhi remark, New York Times. This is 2004. Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton has apologized for joking that Mahatma Gandhi used to run a gas station here, saying it was a lame attempt at humor. This is Clinton apologizes for Gandhi remark, January 7, 2004, the Associated Press. Do I need to go on for it? We have a litany. We have an endless supply of quotes and actions from Madam Secretary, both Bill and Hillary. So I'm wondering when... so if you're gonna tear down statues, you're going to rename, whatever, and you're going to ruin the lives of anyone that stated something or did something horrendous in the past that they apologized for. So Roseanne Barr lost her show. Does Clinton lose the honors that she's received from universities this year and from civil rights organizations? Because this is apologized for Gandhi remark. This is Associated Press. We can go on forever. She mentioned RFK when she was running against America's first black president. She actually mentioned that. Clinton apology, RFK. Okay, President Obama. Hillary cites RFK. This is unbelievable. Hillary cites RFK assassination in explaining why she's still in race. This is Politico. And then I think she apologizes. Clinton apologizes for RFK remark, 2008. Of course. So we can go on forever. It's never, well, she knew what she was saying. It was always, well, Trump knows what he's doing. So we can go on forever. Okay, super predators who must be brought to heel and who lack empathy. Biden working with segregationists. So, but see, again, when it's personalities on the left, if they write a blog post, if they say something horrendous, if it's a tweet, they ask for forgiveness, they ask for empathy, they demand it, and they get it. And they never give that luxury to anyone who they don't like politically, because this is not about making a just society. This is about wielding morality as a weapon, not actually upholding true morality. Okay, but when November 3rd, there's 126 days until November 3rd. By the way, subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. July, I'm going to start doing 2 to 3 segments. I'm going to try for 3 segments a day on H.A. Goodman's other channel. I am going to rename and the former Bizarro World Goodman that I was doing something with. I'm going to name that. I believe it's going to be H.A. Goodman's number of days until November 3rd channel, something like that, right? I don't know. Okay, but I'll do something like that with my formerly Bizarro World Goodman, and Bizarro is my cousin Bizarro World is gonna come back and do something there. Yeah, I think, especially with what's going on lately. But anyway, getting back to what he is removing Americans from a location where we did the same thing to them. Okay? We did the same. We actually armed and funded the people who we are now fighting. This has happened in U.S. history before. So the logic, the irrational the absurd logic, and it took me 10 minutes to actually get to the point, so you can tell people at the 10-minute mark, I get to the point of this segment. So if you want, tell people, to my 10-minute crowd, at 10 minutes, I get to the point of this. The intelligence reports say there are bounties on American lives. Well, then we need to get out. We do not stay there forever. We do not stay there forever. We don't stay there forever. We need to get out. It's been 20 years. This is what drives me in terms of, this is what I like. I've written against counterinsurgency conflicts in the Hill, Salon, the Jerusalem Post, the Huffington Post. And counterinsurgency conflicts we should never, ever get into. Ever, ever. And General Daniel Bolger has a book, Why We Lost. And he stated the United States military is meant for quick, decisive, grandiose victories, military victories with military objectives that don't last long, and then we pull out and we don't stay there forever. We don't stay there. We don't stay there, period. And like the left or the right, who knows, conservative, the Lincoln Project people, the Max Boot and Bill Kristol people, the former Bush neoconservatives, it's funny. They're the ones who say, well, this is just like, Karl Rove said this. This is just like Germany and Japan. No, it's not. No, it's not. Those weren't counterinsurgency conflicts when we stayed there. And we're still removing soldiers from Germany. Now, so you look at Iraq and Afghanistan, we need to remove our soldiers there. And not just American soldiers, all American personnel of all kind. We should not have a presence there because we don't need, not one American should lose their life in a country where the majority of Americans can't name the capital or can't name cities or have no understanding of what's going on there. We shouldn't be in never-ending, perpetual military conflict in regions of the world where we can't even explain how it benefits our country. Are we safer having our soldiers in harm's way 24/7, having to battle IEDs, all it's still potentially being swept into a regional conflict? So, and then dealing with the realities of a counterinsurgency conflict, where in the day you might be helping people, and at night those same people might be firing at you. So we can't stay there forever. But see, Democrats don't care. If you say something on Twitter, if President Trump says something or retweets, that is a subliminal, and oh my God. Democrats care about words, images, phrases, euphemisms linked to an emotional response. They obsess over images and words and euphemisms, and their lives are just pure public relations. You said this, therefore you meant this, therefore you're upholding this, therefore you're a bad person, and you should be deleted from humanity. That's the Democrat. But if you say, what's your foreign policy, Democrats? Oh, well, we're worried about Russian Facebook ads. Okay, what about Americans still after 20 years in Iraq and Afghanistan? Don't you want them back home? No, we got to stay there. We just got to stay there. They don't have an answer. They don't have an answer. And everything is, well, this is what Putin wants. This is what Putin was like. They're the ones who presided, and this is a fact. Even Snopes stated it, that it was President Obama who could have vetoed the sale of 20% of U.S. uranium capacity, but he didn't. So why do you think Putin is afraid of Democrats? He got exactly what he wanted from Democrats. Facebook ads or uranium, which is worse? But see, Democrats look at, when they say, oh, Trump betrayed his country, like they're delusional. And it's kind of sad and pathetic. The Mueller probe, we already knew he didn't do anything. It was ridiculous. The whole thing was a setup, and now we have John Durham and William Barr. They totally set him up. And they know it too. They don't care. President Trump is a monster to them. Not because of anything he's done. Like, there's nothing that Trump did that's even close to what President Obama did in Libya, which is actually destroy a country. And definitely not even close to what Bush did. Well, I mean, what President Obama did in Libya is pretty much the same thing as what Bush did. Okay, and Cheney and Rumsfeld. They toppled, a despot, and then all chaos and mayhem, took place. Chaos and mayhem ensued, and then the media just shrugged its shoulders because they can. If you are an establishment Democrat, you can get away with anything. And Bush, the media sided with Bush, especially because of, the most horrendous day in U.S. history. So you look and you say, well, the really insidious part is that he's bringing Americans home, so we don't have to worry about bounties anymore, because they're going to be home, hopefully. And if President Trump doesn't win, he will win, and it'll be against Clinton. Share my Huffington Post article, Hillary Clinton 2020 is a reality, get ready for 8 years of Trump. And share my Times of Israel article, Hillary Clinton, not Biden, will be nominee. But they're not going with Biden. The guy talks, he communicates and looks like an exhumed body. They ain't going to go with Biden. But the point is, President Trump is leaving. He's bringing home Americans. He's removing our presence from that location, that country in the world. So, but Democrats don't see that. They don't care. He set the groundwork for that. He can't. If he did it unilaterally, if he did it immediately without winning re-election, they would say, "Oh my God, the sky is falling." The Democrats and media would say he's just a threat to humanity, and this is when he's bringing soldiers home. That's the biggest. That's more important than climate change. I've had good liberals tell me, "Well, climate change affects the whole planet, and our foreign policy just affects certain countries." It's like, okay, our foreign policy makes an instant, sometimes, an instant impact, like immediate impact in destroying and ruining the lives of millions and millions of people instantaneously. With climate change, I think AOC said, 12 years, or the UN or whatever. It will be around for a lot longer than 12 years. Okay, the country will. I mean, the world will. Is it an important issue? Of course it is. Of course it is. But President Obama presided over the largest expansion of domestic oil and gas production. So that should tell you how much he cared about it. But anyway, the point is that President Trump already addressed the issue. He's bringing home Americans. Eventually, he set the groundwork and the stage for it. You can't. I mean, he was in office 3 years, 4 years, going on 4 years when this took place a couple months ago. And so, what do you expect him to do? 17, 18, 19, 20. So, what do you expect him to do? It's almost 4 years. He needs to reverse 20 years of foreign policy. He can't do that immediately, especially with being accused of working with Russia and everything else, and then the Ukraine, and then they impeached him because he wanted to investigate Biden and interfere in the election. They've gone absolutely mad. But see, again, November 3rd, that's the reckoning will come when they realize that all their treachery is going to lead to President Trump winning again. And then it's the real big payback, like James Brown, the big payback. So they're not going to roll the dice with the exhumed body or the cadaver that looks like has Botox injections. I'm speaking of course, the former vice president who is so eloquent and wonderful. That's a charade. It's the centennial of the 19th Amendment. I will have made the biggest call of all time. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it is going to happen. Biden will pick a vice president, and somehow Madam Secretary will slide in. And then it'll be Clinton will lose again, and then the next book will be like, what happened this time, what happened that time. So again, Biden recently, there was an article like Biden's foreign policy will be like, another President Obama's foreign policy, like 4 years of president. So that was a horrendous foreign policy in every way. See, the funny thing is, like, the left has a very, very bizarre and warped view of anti-war. They think that focusing on one country in the Middle East, so their utter contempt for the only Jewish country in the world, their utter contempt for Israel, that makes them anti-war. And then, like, things like the Iran deal, which was a horrendous deal, where military installations were off limits, which makes no sense, but whatever. That is anti-war to them. Not bringing home Americans. So you'll never get an article in The Nation or Mother Jones anymore that says, bring home our soldiers. That is completely gone from their paradigm. Now it's a whole new world. The left is in their own they're in their own fantasy world, and the reality check is going to be November 3rd. Because what happens on November 4th? They're going to have to realize that they've retweeted and they've mocked and they've condemned and they've, outraged Trump. That's not even a word, but whatever. In the way I'm using it, but they've outraged Trump into 8 years. Hey, it's outrage. Trump causes outrage. Who cares? Who cares? I don't care anymore what Democrats think about anything and what media is apoplectic about. You have people who are fanatical, apoplectic, hysterical anti-Trump people. Who cares what they think anymore? They should be ignored, but whatever. That's after November 3rd. Give me your thoughts below. God bless every man and woman serving in the United States military, every veteran. God bless you and your families. And I want Americans home from never-ending conflict, counterinsurgency wars, and I want... That's the main reason I'm voting for President Trump, in addition to all the other great things he's done. Give me your thoughts below. Subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. And if you want to support my voice long-term, my Patreon is below. Thanks, everybody. Be here this evening for my live stream.